Welcome to the Barry Podcast, an unofficial show covering the hit HBO series Barry. I'm one of your hosts, Jamie G. Esquire, the fifth master of facial reactions. And I'm here with my co-host, Magnum Mills, to talk about the sixth episode of Barry, Chapter 6. Listen with your ears, react with your face.
I'm pretty sure that's how I usually do it, but I'll have to double check. I am Magnum Mills, and I'm not going to make a facial joke here. You're welcome. Thank you for checking out the Barry Podcast. Find us wherever you get your pods, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, all the good ones. We're there. You can find us on social media at Barry Podcast. And if you're listening, not watching, you can find our YouTube channel at joeblowfootballshow.com or just search for Barry Podcast. If you enjoyed this, if you could, please take like 10 seconds to rate, comment, follow, like, subscribe. Just do one of those things. Don't have to do them all. It helps people find our show. We really appreciate it because, we do this for y'all.
That we do. And what else we do for you is when we cover new episodes of Barry, we spoil everything from all previous episodes. However, we're doing things a little bit different with our rewatch episodes. We will not be spoiling any future events or episodes of Barry during our recap discussion of this particular episode. Listen with your ears, react with your fucking face. At the end of our episode discussion, we will have a spoiler section where we discuss whatever we want, and the spoilers, they will fly. We'll give you a heads up though, so don't get in a tizzy here. When we get to that point, we'll let you know. You'll have some time to bail out if you need to. Mills, go ahead, hit us with those episode deets.
I mean, one crazy detail is now, thanks to Taylor, I had to add the word jizz to my Microsoft Word dictionary. So thank you for that, Taylor. That's definitely a detail. As far as the episode itself, this is season 1, episode 6, chapter 6, Listen with Your Ears, React with Your Face. Originally aired Sunday, April 29th, 2018, with an estimated 560,000 viewers in the United States tuning in live. This is directed by Hiro Murai. This is the second episode of Barry that he has directed. This is written by Emily Heller. This is her first written by credit on Barry. And the not-so-short plot synopsis is, Barry tries to fly solo at a remote airstrip, but Taylor still wants in. Vacha looks to extract revenge on the man who killed his brother, despite Pizarro's hands-off orders. Moss tries to end her association with Jean, but finds herself drawn to his classroom at a critical juncture. Sally lobbies for a major acting challenge.
A lot goes on in this one. And before we get into this recap discussing this episode, we're going to give you guys our overall thoughts here. Remember, no spoilers. Mills, I thought that we're getting to this stretch of Barry now where we're really starting to stack good episodes on top of good episodes. I thought last week, starting with kind of episode 4 into 5. 5 was an absolute banger. And 6 really didn't disappoint here, man. I thought this was really good. We're starting to get, some action with the new characters here with Taylor. And dude, Taylor leaving voicemails is just like, honestly, that could have been the name of this podcast. Like Taylor leaving voicemails. Like I just, it's great. And I think, you're getting a little bit more of the character development into, Sally and Jean. And obviously you're seeing what's going on with Jean, and Jean in love is a whole new thing. I will say, damn, if that wasn't a great looking Eggs Benedict, man. And she didn't even have a bite, bro. She didn't even have a bite. Good episode.
I concur. I think it was a good episode. I think you got both some character development and a lot of plot movement here. Kind of ended, maybe this was the most excited you've been to kind of check out the next episode of Barry. If you're watching this for the first time, this might have been the first time they were like, I know I was going to go to bed, but I think I have to check out the next episode here. You definitely had some funny moments, some good drama, some good digs at the acting class. You got the Chechens. You had a little bit of everything here. I think, again, this is the show finally figuring itself out to a certain extent and really starting to kind of show what it is going forward. So I definitely enjoyed this one. And, I think it's really going to be kind of a heater to close out season 1.
Speaking of which, Mills, go ahead and read with your eyes and talk with your mouth.
Again, I'm pretty sure that's how I normally do it, but now you're weirding me out by making me think about it. Like, if you ever want to mess someone up, if you're playing golf, ask them if they inhale or exhale when they're on their backswing. And they're going to weird out on their next swing because they're going to think about it when they're doing it. So, little golf tip. I know Fuchs was golfing in the previous episode, not here, but there you go. We open with Barry, Taylor, and Fuchs doing prep work for the assassination of the Bolivian gang leader. Taylor wants to shoot the plane out of the sky with missiles or get more guys and just bum rush the place. Barry tries to strike a happy medium between Fuchs and Taylor, but fails miserably. Fuchs emphasizes that Barry needs to kill Taylor before Taylor gets Barry killed. Say what you will about Fuchs, he wasn't wrong, right?
Fuchs did his management thing and he did it right, and he had his senses were correct. Honestly, as this episode unwinds, you start to see the magnitude of how bad it is. With obviously Chris and some innocent people getting involved, but it all starts here with Barry's refusal to acknowledge dealing with Taylor.
Yeah, he really at some point should have just kind of stepped up and done the man-to-man thing, and you get kind of like that's what they're going for here is like you need to kind of face those problems head on. But Fuchs is right twice here. I don't mean to take a shot at Taylor, but Fuchs is right about him, and Fuchs is right that is not really the spot to put a hot tub, despite what Taylor thinks. But I will agree with Taylor. Like I did enjoy when Barry's trying to do the defensive thing. He's like, I think Taylor's going to be clutch with this. And Fuchs says he wants to shoot the plane out of midair and then drink beers. I mean, if you shoot a plane out of midair, don't you want to drink beers after?
You have to have a celebratory beer, dude. That's like definitely
while it's going down, like while you can still see it. That's how you enjoy it.
And then as it's exploding, you crack another one. I mean,
car bomb when it explodes. Car bomb when it explodes.
Yeah. Yes. Look, man, Taylor has been a lot of fun. And I kind of wondered, like, okay, is this going to be a character that's going to stick around, or is he going to be kind of, a couple episodes and he's gone? But dude, one thing that we know, he's been fun.
I would hang out in Taylor's hot tub. I think like that dude probably knows how to throw a hot tub party. And I guess, have to apologize a little because I thought last episode Taylor should just team up with Fuchs, right? Like he's the mad killer that Fuchs wants. Fuchs can kind of rein in like some of his worst tendencies. And no, these two just instantly hate each other. That's kind of a runner throughout the episode that they both want Barry to kill the other one. And I really enjoyed that aspect of it.
Yeah, that was very cool. And from there, we see Goran, Hank, and the Chechkins, our favorite Chechkins. They're surveying their new stash house. Hank has some decorating ideas. Vasha shows Goran and Hank the pictures he took of Barry, a presentation, if you will. He wants to kill Barry as revenge for killing his brother. But Goran wants no part of this. He reminds Vasha that they're not supposed to have any connection to Barry and that Barry got them stash house. Goran orders Vasha to stay away from Barry and get rid of the bodies at the stash house. He can even wear his apron and his creepy fucking hockey mask. How great is, like, look, I want to just one thing here, okay? We've seen Goran where he's not getting along with Hank and kind of using Hank as kind of like his whipping post a little bit, but then we've seen Goran where he is getting along with Hank and they're teaming up on someone else. I don't know which one's better, but as long as it's Goran and Hank, I am there for it, dude.
I honestly like Vacha as the third here. Like, fuck the Three Stooges, man. Give me 100 episodes of the Three Chechens. Like, yes. I am there for that. Like, I don't even want the little, like, woo, doing the eye pokies and the nose thing and all the, I'll go full Stooges with it. I don't care, man. Like, that was so good. You got the nice callback to the Bolivians being short, where Goran, well, we'll just play / listen to that one because it costs, but it's so good.
Hey, you took my fucking stash house. I'm going to slit your fucking throats.
Because they are short, right?
It hits so good. And Hank's Hank's comment of this is great physical comedy of you. I mean, it's just so funny, dude. I love this scene. And I love that, like, it's the next day and the bodies are all still there. Like, it's
there's so many TVs and stuff too. Like, it's like a warehouse, man. That's not just a stash house. Like, there's a lot there. I don't know, like, if that's just the set they have, but like that gives you better perspective of like when Barry was like, dude, this is a raid. Like, yeah, that was really like, dude, Taylor must be able to ball. Say what you will about the dude. He came through under pressure, man. He killed a lot of people. It would have probably been easier if he'd just been the one to kill Vacha's brother. But dude, the whole exchange where Hank and Goran just basically go in on Vacha for like, dude, you keep talking about like this dude killing your brother. You need to let that go. Like, both of them just keep playing into it. Like,
no one cares. It's so boring, dude.
Everyone's concerned about Stovka or whatever, the assassin, but no one gives a shit like about, because the other dude was the previous like best assassin they had, Lucky, right? That was
Right.
Lucky the assassin, was Vacha's brother, and he was the previous best assassin. They forgot about his ass real quick, but I mean, I guess it happens when somebody gets you a beautiful, super awesome, sexy stash house.
It is super sexy.
That sounds
is
like a name of a TLC album. I don't know why.
super sexy stash house.
I think it's crazy, sexy, cool, but you get it. Well, one more thing before we get out of there. When Gordon wants to make sure Vacha hears him, and he grabs Vacha's ears and like pulls him out like Dumbo style and talks close to like make sure that he can hear him. And the part where same thing when Gordon's yelling at Vacha and he like raises his hands and you watch Hank and he looks at Gordon and then Hank just like copies exactly what Gordon is doing. Just again, I think this is the only scene we really get with the Chechens this episode, right? And other than Vacha, so this is the only time we get NoHo Hank and Gordon, and I think we get our money's worth here, so to speak.
Yes, it's a banger. I mean, for only giving them one scene, man, did they deliver.
Wait, and I can't, there's so much in this scene. And we'll just skip over the whole, like, obviously, Hank has been binging like property flippers or something like that when he's talking about removing the wall for the space or whatever. Dude, if you look at Vacha's shirt, he's got this logo, and I cannot figure out what it is. I think it's like two naked chicks sitting back to back. I don't know if they're supposed to be like hostages or something or whatever. I could not figure it out. To see this while you should watch on YouTube, but
what isn't it like a double backwards Playboy thing or something?
It's not Playboy. It's like I couldn't even tell if it was chicks or like it's supposed to be like sexy chicks or hostage chicks. But with Vacha, right? It's Vacha. Like that's why I could see him getting a custom tee made with chicks who were bound up or something. Like I mean, again, he wears a creepy fucking hockey mask and everything.
He's just so creepy, man. He's just
never gonna live down that telescopic lens, and he just go gadget lens, basically. That's really great. And you know what's also great? The way Gene cooks breakfast. Janice wakes up at Gene's house because Gene's slowly just blowing on her and eventually like just really starts blowing on her because he wants her to wake up. Won't let her leave without breakfast. But over breakfast, Janice tells him they need to stop seeing each other because she's still investigating the acting class, even though no one else at the LAPD agrees with her that they should still be in play at this point. Gene wonders if she's keeping the acting class in play in order to have an excuse not to pursue their relationship further. Gene desperately pleads his case, but Janice leaves, and Gene is brokenhearted. And still in some pretty fly pajamas.
Very fly. The pajama game was off the charts, but
the purple t-shirt with him clashed a little bit, but that's Gene. His whole point is like shit clashes.
Oh yeah, dude. But I don't know what was better, his pajama game or his eggs Benedict. He had the sauce down. He had the little chive on top. That looked fantastic. It was really with a cup of fruit, berries on the side, dude. That was a bona fide A+ breakfast. And I hate that Janice didn't eat it. But easily my favorite piece of this scene was when he looks at her with a straight face and he says,
"But I'm 47 years old. I am old enough to know a great thing when it comes knocking on my door in the middle of the night."
When this was released, I'm not even sure when they filmed it. Henry Winkler was 73 when it was released, and Paul Newsome was 57. So that's not like a crazy, like you could see that kind of like that's not. I guess maybe the point was like Gene was too old at 73. So, but they could have gone with like 57 and 47. Like they don't even give Janice's age. She could have played 47. So I think they definitely undercut it by about a decade. Or do you think they're trying to say that Gene is just blatantly lying even to a cop about his age because that's what you do in Hollywood?
I think Gene's blatantly lying about his age. Like I think they kind of went so low just to kind of make the point of like, yeah, he's lying about his age.
It would have been funnier if he almost like, I have an ID to prove it. You see like an old ID of him from like the whatever, like Royal 8 has been like chalked old school style or something like that. To kind of go with all of his nonsense. I think that would have been good. Yeah, I mean, not a ton to this scene, but it make me sad, except for the one part I definitely laughed at is when Gene's kind of talking about like,
"For 3 nights you've come home and told me that everybody is up in your grill at work because you can't let go of this crazy acting class connection."
I never set up in my grill.
Okay,
so
but the point,
like just funny that Gene's like still trying to do his little kind of Geneisms with her and everything. But I mean, he really thought that she was just coming to the acting class to, questioning people to be close to him. And he was very flattered by that.
He was very flattered indeed.
Yeah, and for the record, don't blow on people to wake them up. That's not cool. Don't do that. Like, you might get slapped in the face. Just for the record.
Or worse.
Yeah, don't do that. That's not cool. That was a dick move by Gene. He tried to balance it out with breakfast. I get it. After that, we see that Barry's at Taylor's apartment, and he's trying to convince him to work for Fuchs in place of Barry. Taylor has no interest.
That dude sucks.
The fact that they're having this conversation while a porno plays loudly in the background doesn't really help Barry's case. Taylor tries to give Barry his half of the money from the stash house. He thinks that Barry should kill Fuchs, take the money, and live out his dreams. Barry then daydreams about talking to his son about a picture of him and Fuchs. Barry claims not to remember who Fuchs is. When he snaps back to reality, Barry is in Taylor's bathroom. In the other room, Taylor removes the contents of Barry's bag, including his copy of Gene's book, and replaces it with Barry's half of the stash house money. Barry comes out of the bathroom, grabs his bag, and heads to acting class. Dude, kind of like it, you know, outside of the porno of it all, it's kind of funny that Taylor and Fuchs like instantly hate each other, right? We touched on this a little bit, but just the idea that like Taylor wants to kill people, yet has no interest in working for Fuchs, and just tells Barry to flat out kill Fuchs.
Yeah, I gotta admit, I didn't totally see that coming, but it's not even that. It's like he just thinks he's a he just thinks he's a dick. Like he's just not even like he's just not cool. Like that's why. But yeah, dude, listen, man, Taylor has some classic one-liners here, dude. And from "you should fucking ace that dude" to "look at what this chick does to this dude's asshole." I mean, that's that's, you know, and I love this because Barry's trying so hard to like have like kind of a serious conversation with him to try to like put Taylor problem onto Fuchs so he can like sail off. But I think probably the biggest takeaway here for me, Mills, was when Barry realizes what
kill Fuchs. I can do that.
Where it's kind of like, wow, he never thought about that.
Yeah, it never even occurred to him that that was an option. So I thought that was really interesting, like the realization of him in real time being like, wait, that's an option? Like that's a very good call out there. And yeah, I mean, all the porno stuff, and just shout out the actor playing Taylor here, just his delivery when he kind of like, it's the weirdest, like kind of inspirational speech you've ever gotten.
You take that money, kill Fuchs, live your dreams. How much this guy jizzes.
It's just great, dude.
Yeah, that's you know, you really don't like use, you know, watch how much this guy jizzes as kind of your closing line, but maybe that was a point. He's just like a secret, you know, savant, and he's like knows if he plays the porno at this time, he's gonna give the speech. It's all gonna work. And dude, just how about that daydream? There's so much. If you look, Barry, like I call it like the Paulie Walnuts wingtips, the hairdo, but he really looked a lot like Timothy Olyphant for some reason. For a second, I was like, did Hader get Timothy Olyphant to play future Barry just for the fuck of it? Because he looks so much like him with that hair. And then if you look behind Barry, there's just an entire shelf of like Oscars and Emmys and awards and everything. And then at the end, these fucking kids teleport out by touching their belts. That's such a weird choice. Like this is not a show with a huge effects budget or anything. I mean, I know that's not like a crazy expensive effect or something, but the fact that they felt they needed to do it just because like that's how Barry thinks or whatever. I had forgotten that he has kind of this many kind of whimsical daydreams and whatnot.
Yeah, he definitely, we're now seeing multiple times in you know 6 episodes or whatever that he's had several daydreams. And I don't know if that was just kind of like to like that's how Barry envisions the future, but I mean I get it. Technology moves pretty quick, but we'll see if we can, you know, teleport by the time, you know, Barry's old enough to have kids.
Yeah, I mean seriously, screw putting down a hot tub deposit. Get me one of them belts, man. I haven't wanted anything that bad since I wanted a hoverboard after Back to the Future 2.
Shout out hoverboards. We were promised them. We still don't have them.
Yeah, they called like the bullshit things with wheels hoverboards. That was some bullshit. I'm still
yeah, that's not
don't get me you don't want to get me started on the hoverboards.
All right, trivia question for you real quick before we move on. What was the song that played in Back to the Future 2 the first time he hops on the hoverboard and he's on the run?
He's on a hoverboard!
I don't know.
The great 80s song. Look it up. Before class
Do
begins.
you not know what it is? You didn't
I
say
don't,
that.
but I know what it is, but I can't.
See, you don't get to ask the question if you don't know the answer. And I thought it was part of the score. Like I know, like he grabs the pink joint right from the chicks, and I didn't remember that being set to a song. I thought it was just a piece
it's set to a
score.
song, and it's fantastic. It's awesome, like classic 80s. And it may be a song that's it may be a song that's used throughout the movie actually, but it's a real good one. Maybe we'll find that out. Maybe we'll let you guys know out there. But before the class begins, Barry apologizes to the class. We're back in the acting class, and Barry gives a sincere apology. However, they reject the apology and instead apologize themselves. Everybody except Sally. Gene arrives to an applaud, and then tells everyone to get their scripts out. Barry reaches in his bag and finds money. The money Taylor put there. He panics and hides it in the ceiling of the bathroom. Barry comes back out and starts doing his scene with Sally. Apparently, she got Natalie to give her the part of Lady Macbeth. Barry struggles, and Gene has Barry and Sally do a repetition exercise. It's a tough one for Barry because he has to tell Sally that he loves her. He struggles at first, but eventually does good enough to earn a hug from Gene, which I gotta say, Magnum Mills, Gene only gives out hugs when he feels like you're having a breakthrough, a life-changing moment.
I like all that, and I would say that I'm 98% positive that Back to the Future 2 hoverboarding scene was just Alan Silvestri's score. I swear there's not a song underneath that one. I double swear. But yeah, I mean, good scene here because you got the kind of the seeds of that in the previous episode when they were at residuals at the bar, the acting class, and Sally basically was the only one who couldn't show any empathy towards Barry or whatever, and everybody kind of ganged up on her a little bit. And also interesting here that they note that Natalie gave Sally the scene, and then we find out pretty soon after that Sally basically went to Gene and made her do that. So I'm guessing that's why we don't see Natalie here. What do you kind of think about the whole "I love you" thing? Was it a little bit too much? Like, did you know that's what Gene was like? And I love how he's like, "Oh, just let's start with something simple, like I love you."
Yeah, it was a perfect setup because I didn't think he was going to go there. I thought it would be some, like we've seen things with like soup before, right?
These
And
pretzels are making me thirsty.
right. So, stuff like that. Part of me wants to see them do more scenes and wants to see Barry actually do more acting. But I'm always a fan of a Gene kind of, interruption and force them to get out of their comfort zones to get actor growth, right? And Gene gets that growth out of them. So I thought this was a fun scene.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff here, especially the small moment when Barry's trying to hide the money and Jermaine comes up to like talk about his IBS to Barry because he's like, I want to tell you my story, and it starts when he's 12. Like, dude, this dude's gonna walk him through like 20 years of IBS. That's if you're having trouble making on the toilet, the last thing you want to hear probably is someone telling you about their 20-year battle with IBS. Yeah. So I thought that was pretty like choice right there. Again, you pointed out Gene with the standing ovation. I guess that's just what he gets every time, dude. That's just what happens when Gene Cousineau walks into the class. And then here you see at the end, like Gene hugs Barry. Later, we see Sally go to hug Gene and he recoils. So I'm just kind of curious as to what's up with that.
That was interesting. I don't know why he didn't want to hug.
He does the thing to Barry, like, "Oh, I forgot how strong you are." Like, it's almost like I wouldn't say like totally sexual, but it felt a little flirty or something. And
maybe, all right, interesting.
I don't know. Just remember, because he like tapped. "Oh, I forgot how strong you are." I mean, that's kind of just Henry Winkler has always kind of played that a little bit. He did it in Arrested Development too, like kind of just a little bit ambiguous or whatever. Just that's how he does it, I think. But it just kind of the fact that he hugs Barry like bring it in and goes for the bear hug, and then later Sally goes for him. He's like, "Ooh."
One thing I will mention here, I understand why, but I do have to be a little bit critical here. I don't get the sudden urge to go hide the money. It was clearly tucked away in a book bag. You just close your book bag up. There's no reason to really. I mean, I get maybe he didn't want it because it was dirty, but I think why not get rid of it when he leaves the acting class?
Go put it in his car. I think again, probably the answer is he panicked, but the real answer, you're right, is the plot needed it to happen because this gives a plausible way for the police to close everything off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, this is it. Like, we killed the guy. There was the money here. That's why he was here. It all makes sense now. That was really definitely kind of like plot convenient, you would call it, I guess. And something that's not terribly convenient is voicemail. And I honestly really don't like voicemail unless the right people are leaving them for me. As Barry drives home from the acting class, he checks his voicemail. Taylor and Fuchs have each called, asking if he's killed the other one yet. Taylor also lets Barry know that he owes him $1,700 for his share of the hot tub deposit. Barry's had enough. When he gets back to the hotel, he calls Taylor and lets him know that he's going to do the Bolivian job solo. He does not need Taylor. Taylor can stay home. It's all good. Taylor seems to agree and understand, and Barry hangs up. Dude, who won the voicemail challenge, Fuchs or Taylor? Taylor gets 2, but I think Fuchs comes in hotter.
Fuchs came in hot with the one where where he's like, stick the bayonet up his ass. I mean, Fuchs definitely comes in hot. And he shows his frustration here. But dude, I'm such a sucker for Taylor voicemails that I'm gonna probably lean Taylor here. It's just hilarious. And the fact that he went through and purchased the hot tub, I figured we'd split it.
Who runs water out there for a hot tub? Where are your pipes coming from, man?
It's the worst possible spot for a hot tub, but
and it's funny because that's what seems to set Barry over the edge finally, right? It's not all the other shit. It's the fact that he wants $1,700 for this hot tub deposit, even though dude just trying to give Barry like way more money than that Barry didn't even want. It's just funny that he's like, all right, this is a bridge too far now. I'm not paying for this stupid hot tub deposit.
Well, and speaking of the money too, I don't know about you, man, but when they were emptying out the stash house, it looked like way more than
it looked like $1 million or something like that.
Yeah, dude. Like you're telling me
those were hundreds. If those were ones or something, maybe. But
well, basically, if Barry got his half was 26, that means there's only 52 grand there. It looked like there were minimum couple $100,000 minimum.
Yeah, and it seems kind of cheap on Taylor's part too. Like, why does he automatically assume Barry should assume half the hot tub deposit? Yeah. If he has that much dough, I mean, what the hell, dude? Like that way you own the hot tub, man. You want to be king of the hot tub. That's where the lambada fucking happens. And just shout out Taylor too, because he's definitely sitting there, just kind of like baked as fuck, still watching the porn, and he's just like, yeah. So you can't really tell if he actually like understands what Barry is saying or not. Like in my head, I think if Barry would have just told him straight up, he would have accepted it. But the fact that Barry's like, oh no, like your thing, the bum rush could have worked with more guys. Like I think Barry kind of opens the door there where he should have just been like, nope, doing it myself. He didn't need to add the praise there. There was no need to do that. It wasn't like a compliment fucking sandwich, a compliment salt or something where you try to sandwich an insult between two compliments. He just could have just told him that was the deal and get you on the next one, dog.
For some reason, like, and in my mind while watching this, I was like, okay, is this Barry trying to like outsmart Taylor and do some strategy to try to get him, either out of it or be able to take him out or something? But really, it's just like Barry just doesn't have the heart to like let him down, man. He just doesn't want to. I don't know what it is. He just doesn't want to. Maybe Taylor's a hard dude to kind of like let down,
You know what? Just real before, I just want to dive a little bit deeper into the head of Taylor here. Like when on one of the voicemails, he tells Barry that his schedule's freed up because he canceled most of his appointments. What appointments do you think Taylor had? I'm guessing maybe one to get a tattoo. That's the only one I got. He was going to get
maybe like going to the gym or something. I mean, I don't know.
Not an appointment. You go to the gym. I mean, it's a training session. Like I gotta guess that's kind of an appointment in a vague way. I mean, I guess it'd be kind of funny if he just randomly canceled a root canal or something like that. But like the way he says appointments, like he's got a like you watched him. He's on his couch. He gets baked and watched porn. Does this strike you as a dude who has more than one appointment that he canceled, and he only canceled most of them? So that means that theoretically he has at least 4 appointments. I would say from a math standpoint.
Yeah,
he's bald, right? He's bald head. Like I don't know. He doesn't need a haircut. Like I'm just trying to figure out what Taylor's appointments for. Is he playing in like a Call of Duty league? Or I want to see that show. I guess it's just in my head. I want to know what Taylor's appointments were.
It's definitely a big mystery for sure. And Magnum Mills, I answered, but you go ahead and answer. Who won the voicemail battle for you?
Fuchs. Dude. I mean, Fuchs comes in ham, dude. I mean, when he lands like with the stick of bayonet up your ass, and you see Barry try to use that later, but he pussies out and just like acts to be nice to Taylor instead of going over the top like that. So yeah, Barry probably filibustered a bit too far. And back at the LAPD, Janice finally drops her filibuster and she takes the acting class students off of the suspect board where the pictures are up in the whiteboard there, and it gets her a round of applause from everyone else. Over at the acting class, Sally is trying to convince Gene to let her play Macbeth himself. Gene's not feeling it, and Sally admits that Mike dropped her as a client. While they're talking, Vacha arrives and starts sneaking around the auditorium. Back in Gene's office, he agrees to let Sally do the scene that she wants to do, but he bemoans her choice to always go it alone. You know, Jamie G, you want to go somewhere fast, you go alone. You want to go far, you go together. Do you think this is Sally kind of doing the right thing for her career, or just kind of being a little bit of a bitch and just lashing out because she's kind of had a bad run of it lately?
I wish I could say it's Sally thinking about her career, but I really think they've shown us enough of Sally to know that that's just not reality. You know, the reality is Sally wants to lash out and feed her ego a bit because she needs to.
I mean, Gene's definitely party to that. Like she says here, like, oh, I'm the most talented one in the class. And Gene's like, well, even so, you know, so I guess this is something they've talked about before or whatever. And, you know, and I guess everyone is their favorite pupil or whatever, but I don't know, man. The show is definitely doing something more with Sally than I would have thought after the first episode or two, and kind of pushing her in these different ways. And I mean, she's really kind of dismissive of Barry and everything. And even Gene, the way she talks to him, there's no more Mr. Cousin or whatever. It's like, Gene, I need this. Like talking to him like they're, you know, peers to a certain extent, which we saw Gene go to auditions. He's doing the same shit Sally is. So theoretically, they are peers. Maybe she's saying that on some level. I like what they're doing with Sally. It's just kind of not what I would have thought. I mean, you get the idea that here you find out for sure that, you know, Sally comes in, she says,
you know how my scene isn't working?
I just took it away from Natalie and gave it to you. What else could you possibly want?
So she came to him and he took Natalie's scene away, which is why I'm assuming Natalie kind of boycotted the class or whatever. And that shows you a little bit of the power she has, and maybe Gene believes her a little bit. But it also shows that, you know, shouldn't Sally be trying to, you know, listen to the other actor and try different things and everything like that? Like she complains here, like, oh, I've already played Lady Macbeth. She just got Natalie kicked out of that part to play the part she's already played. Now she's asking for a different part, which is what Gene gave her in the first place.
Yeah, it's just, it really, they're doing a great job, but they're doing it now every episode basically. I kind of really dragging this out with this other kind of persona of Sally. You know, when we first started, Sally was like fun and loved acting and had like this cuteness about her, like this you know,
she went on Facebook, man, and she got the microchip in the brain or something when she was making Barry's Facebook page. I think that was a moment in turn, dude. I mean, it was either that or the Berkman super sperm. I don't know.
My favorite part of about this was, though, when at the end he tells her that Barry's going to be playing the other part, and she looks at him like, and he's like, it's one line. Surely you can eat around that. I mean, come on, like, and she's still upset that she's going to have to share one line with Barry.
Well, and that's funny because he says eat around that, and this is I think Act 5, Scene 5, it's a pretty famous Shakespeare scene. And it's kind of one of those scenes, if I remember right, that like a lot of actors want to do because you can like really chew the scenery or whatever, which I think was what Gene's referring to. But a lot of the more experienced Shakespearean actors or whatever tend to kind of play it more subtle because that's kind of the more accepted read of it or whatever. Again, it's definitely Sally making a choice. And I do have to say, I liked Vacha's choice when he goes out on stage and he starts was he doing like a little like Russian Idol or something? Like if anybody really speaks the Russian, I don't even know if it meant anything or whatever. I would love to know what he was singing or whatever, because just for a minute he had his little time in the spotlight. So shout out Vacha, you know, your star shone brightly, but for a very, very short period of time.
You know what? And I loved his little confidence he had being up there. He felt it. He was clearly confident because he's just wandering around, you know, look up in the you know, the
projection booth,
the projection room. And I mean, yeah, he was getting a lay of the land. We talked on it earlier, but it was weird when Gene didn't hug him. I wish I knew what that was when Gene didn't hug Sally. Like I wish I would have known. Like I wish we knew why. You know.
Yeah, it just because like Sally was like, oh, like I remember, like this has been a thing before.
Like it almost to me, it almost implied like did they have some kind of weird like romance or something? And
Nah, I don't think she's Gene's type, man.
I don't know. Maybe she wanted Gene and Gene had to tell her no and let her down. Kind of.
I mean, she turned down Mike. I think she would probably turn down Jane. Or it depends. I don't know. Again, how calculating, triangulating is Sally. And she's happy though. She got what she wanted. So she leaves. Vacha sees her leaving there from the projection booth and he follows her out. As they head out some stairs, he bumps into Janice, who asks him if Gene's still around. Outside, Vacha approaches Sally with a knife in his hand, and Janice appears behind him. Vacha kind of gives up the game. He runs back to his car, pulls out an assault rifle, and opens fire on Janice. They exchange fire, and Janice wounds him. She goes up to him, tries to disarm him, but he goes for his gun and elects for suicide by cop. The LAPD arrive, and they find the money that Barry hid in the bathroom. Case closed, right? Gene arrives, and Janice tells him to go home. Loesch, of all people, seems to realize that Gene and Janice had a thing going on, and Janice kind of breaks down, admits it, and apologizes to Loesch, and they get on with the job. Dude, Detective Loesch or what, man? Can you believe that?
Loesch knew, man.
Is it just because it was love? Is he just one of those like hopeless romantics, and that's why he picked up on it? Not because he's a good detective, but he's like the love detective.
The love detective.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, and one of the funniest bits when Vacha takes off, he runs like a goddamn cartoon character.
Dude,
like his legs are flailing in all directions. It's so. I mean, my best guess is you're wearing like steel toe boots or something. Like if I'm being generous here,
and I think he's pretty bold legged, and so he runs very.
That was but his arms are like I'm assuming it's so obvious that had to be like something that was like directed at him. Like, or it was an incredibly weird choice that the director went with because this is not ordinary running. This is like.
No.
Like on the Night Pod Comics, we talked about Always Sunny in Philadelphia. We talked about something where an accent went from like Latin to cartoon Mexican, and this was like the cartoon Mexican version of running. Basically, it was so exaggerated, but again, hysterical. And don't sleep on Barry. Don't look down, check your phone or whatever. There's always some good stuff going on.
Dude, one thing too, like that kind of caught me off guard here was just the amount of like we went from like a regular episode. With plot movement and character development and funny shit to like a full blown action scene here, dude. I mean, this was like Arnold Schwarzenegger could have starred in this action scene. There was a lot of gunfire here. I didn't expect Vacha to pull out the freaking machine gun. Broad day, not broad daylight, but out in public. There's people eating at like a little outside dining area outside the restaurant. I mean, it was kind of like, wow. Like I didn't see that coming as far as this full blown action.
No, I did not either. And one of the interesting things is, because Vacha's got the big rifle there and he's unloading, and the clip goes, and I thought for a minute that the gun had jammed, and I thought the joke was going to be that like he and his brother don't clean their guns enough, and that's why they both jammed. But it just looked like he went to change the clips, and that's what Janice got him. But that was, I think, well staged and fairly realistic for what it was. Kind of crazy. They went right into like an outdoor cafe, and there's people around, and no one got winged or nothing. But yeah. That would have been on the news for, that was not a quiet whatnot. Like that was, you have to wonder what Hank and Goran are going to think about that. They're not going to be impressed. They were already pretty mad about him taking pictures. He went a little bit further than that.
Yeah, I think this one might get accelerated there in Goran's anger.
Yeah, well, that's just because we want to go back to Goran's garage. Everyone feels safe at Goran's garage. And Barry actually feels really safe right now because he told Taylor he doesn't need anything. He's at the hotel, goes down to the lobby, maybe to get some breakfast, and sees that Taylor is already there in full fatigues, helping himself to the continental breakfast buffet. Taylor says that he solved Barry's problem. They walk outside and Barry sees an SUV with Vaughn and Chris already inside. They're pumped. Taylor read them in. They have enough manpower to do the bum rush now, and they've been pre-gaming all night. Barry gets in the car and they head towards the spot where we open the episode. Taylor tells Barry that he's been reading Gene's book and it inspired him. Taylor cranks the tunes and they head in full speed down the runway, and we see that the plane is already there. Barry begs Taylor to turn around, but he doesn't. We hear gunshots, and then the bullets hit the windshield, blood spatters, the SUV flips, and we cut to black.
Look, man, this is a really good scene. And one thing I like about this is kind of the progression of the scene. And you got to love Hader here because he's starting to feel the oh shit, moment of I should have stopped this before it happened. And now I have no control over it. Also, shout out to Taylor doing a little reading, dude, reading Barry's acting book.
It's funny, like this is almost we would do, later on we'll tease we do some alternate titles, but this should have been Make the Unsafe Choice.
Yes.
I feel like this would have been a better fit for that. You tease it in the previous episode and then you use it as the episode title here. And Barry, I think he also knew when Chris is like, oh yeah, Taylor told me we're just like gonna like go intimidate some dudes or something. Like, because everyone else is really dressed. Like, didn't Chris notice everyone else has like full on, ready to fucking rock and roll gear, and he's just in like the same outfit we saw him with at the boardwalk? Like, yeah, definitely Taylor did not read him in all the way.
Dude, and like they've got guns. Like
when dude almost shoots himself in the foot, Vaughn, when he's like goes to show Barry his new gun and he almost shoots himself in the foot, that was fucking hysterical.
Yes, but that should have kind of let Chris, like, I'm surprised that Chris would want to be involved.
Right, he should have picked up on that. I guess maybe he just, he doesn't have a lot of other friends or something like that. I mean, they were gonna just go hang out in Dodgers parking lot and drink beers or whatever. So, but yeah, dude, he doesn't look armed or anything. Like,
no.
What did he
He's
think?
in a t-shirt.
He was like there to hang out, right? I mean, for the most part, he thought it was going to be a hangout fight.
Yeah, man, it's that one was crazy, but I love the choice of music here for Taylor's great, and the way this was shot was fantastic too. And honestly, dude, that final kind of climax as it's building and building and building, and the music's up, and you see the car whipping around and hauling ass, and they're like, "Let's fucking do," just geared up, dude. Like, that's how it is. Like, I imagine like in a locker room of playing football, like before you take the field, dude. Like, turn that on, you fucking bang helmets. You're like, "Let's do this. Let's take it." Yeah, I love it, dude. But the cool thing here was when you start to hear the Bolivians fire the gun, and I love the delay because they're so far. I just thought this was awesome how this was done, because you're looking at it through the back seat, where Barry and Chris are, and you hear the gunshot, and then several seconds later, and then gets both of them, blood splashes all over, the front of the windshield, and they turn. Like, that was really cool, dude. Really well done. And like you said, this is a huge, massive cliffhanger. Cannot wait to see the next episode.
Yeah, and overall, I think Barry is always a very good-looking, well-directed show. But this episode kind of took it to another level. I think if I had to guess, even if we don't have as many kind of like scenes as we normally do, there's a lot of locations here. You even bring in kind of Hank and Goran for one scene. There's a lot of work going on. You have multiple action sequences. You have acting sequences. There's a little bit of everything here. So I would say really, to date, probably what I would think is the best episode of Barry we've gotten so far through the first 6, maybe.
That's the end of our recap. But before we hand out our awards, we got to find out what other people thought about this episode on IMDb. Listen with your ears, react with your face. It's got a rating of 8.4. So that puts us puts the episode kind of in a 3-way tie for the 14th rated episode out of 24 total episodes that have been created. It's also the highest rated of the show so far through the first 6 episodes. Mills, we thought last episode was a bit of a step up for the show. They kept the momentum going here, didn't they?
Yeah, I think this is definitely a case of a show finding itself a little bit, which is, again, this is episode 6. Not like there's been a ton of episodes. You have a fairly big cast, a plot that could go a lot of different ways. I really like that the momentum they showed here. You got character development, you got plot development. It was still funny while still being a little bit dark, everything like that. I would actually think that this should probably check in higher than that kind of 14th rated that puts it as not even really a top 50% episode. This feels like a top 50% episode of Barry, but again, that's difficult because every episode of Barry is a good episode of television. So, they're all kind of in a good tier. You're just, it's a first world problem, basically, I would say. How about you, man? You really think they kind of like are kind of going on a heater here with the last 2?
I do. I honestly think they kind of started rounding a corner at 4, and then 5 and 6 were just, man. I mean, this was great, and you kind of took a little bit to get there, although I don't think there's ever really a bad episode of Barry, but we're starting to get into that range where it's like, yeah, these are great episodes.
Yeah, feeling it, and I think they kind of continue this heater. You know, that's not really a spoiler. It's been renewed for multiple seasons, so that's very well and good. But what's not always the greatest are the titles of the episodes. Bill Hader's even admitted they don't spend a lot of time on these. So how about you, Jamie G? Can you come up with an episode title that's a little bit less of a mouthful than listen with your ears, react with your face, and it shouldn't be, look how much this guy jizzes.
No, it shouldn't be look how much this guy jizzes, but that would be a great one. Man, we talked about it a little bit earlier with Gene, but you should be able to eat around that. But I know that that's kind of a mouthful too.
Eat around that. You can just shorten eat around that. That's it. Excuse me. That's interesting. I mean, I think the obvious one to me that jumped out, because these titles are a little bit wordy to begin with, is Sweet Place for a Hot Tub. The long version being this would be a sweet place for a hot tub, but I think Sweet Place for a Hot Tub would be a good one. And also Beautiful, Super Awesome, Sexy Stash House. I mean, I would be intrigued, right? If you saw that episode title, you would be intrigued. Like,
yes.
Again, like listen with your ears, react with your face. That's like, okay, I do that every day.
Yeah.
But I do not always see a beautiful, super awesome, sexy stash house. I mean, very infrequently. And honestly, like I see places every day, and there are not many that are sweet places for hot tubs. I keep looking, man. It's called waiting.
It's called Waiting. That would be another good one too, actually. I would like that. That was a great scene. And shit, dude, you got me geared up. I'm ready to hand out some awards here for this episode. Let's start by each choosing our favorite quote or dialogue exchange from the episode. Mills, dude, there's so much going on in that opening episode, but I have to give it to Barry and Fuchs talking about Taylor in that opening scene there. It's just hilarious, dude. And Fuchs kind of sniffs it out.
Don't try and parent trap me, dickhead. You think you can stick me with this donkey and then go be Hugh Grant? No. You should have killed him at the stash house like you were supposed to.
This would be a sweet place for a hot tub.
Hilarious scene.
Oh, I mean, there are so many good ones here. I've pretty much talked about them all, to be perfectly honest, but I have to go with, the three Chechens. When you get the exchange between Goran, Vacha, and Hank.
Whole point is that Barry have no connection to our family. You follow him around and be personal photographer? That's connection. Why would you do this?
He killed my brother. Okay, you need to let that go, okay? Oh my God, no one cares. It's so boring every day with kill my brother. Look, Barry got a stash house. Beautiful, super awesome, sexy stash house. I mean, he worked like 3 possible episode titles into that one, so I think that's a good pick on my end. Up next is we have to pick our favorite scene or moment from Listen with Your Ears, React with Your Face. It's my turn to go first. Two-way tie between Barry listening to the emails and the opening hot tub scene. You've already gone with the opening hot tub scene a little bit in your quotes. I'm going to go just with the scene of Barry in his car listening to the voicemails. Can't beat voicemails on this show.
You have 3 new voice messages.
Barry, Taylor, let me know when you want to kill those Bolivians. My schedule's pretty freed up. I canceled most of my appointments.
Barry, Fuchs, have you killed Taylor yet? You don't have the stones to do it. You better tell him to keep his fucking mouth shut or you'll stick a bayonet up his ass.
Jesus.
Hey, Barry, it's Taylor. Forgot to tell you, I put a deposit down in the hot tub. I figured we could split it 50-50, so you owe me $1,700.
Fuck!
Also, you killed Fuchs yet?
All right, that's it.
How about yourself?
Cannot beat them. They're absolutely the best. They're the bee's knees. I'm gonna go with that end scene, man. I thought that end scene was so well done, and I think for the first time in 6 episodes here, we finally got an ending where like, oh shit, what? Like, when that just ends like that, it's like, oh wow, like what? I mean, that's got to think too. When Barry came out, this was a 1-week proposition, so you had to wait a week to find out, right? It wasn't like you could just go back to back with episodes here. So that was pretty cool. That brings us to our Greek freak of assassins, which is our MVP of the episode. And I guess it's my turn to go first here. I really, really, really struggled with this. Oh man, I mean, in an episode where not a lot of people really win, I guess I'm gonna give this to fuck man. I'm gonna give it to NoHo Hank, and the reason why is NoHo Hank was kind of in Goran's doghouse before, but he's kind of back in his good graces here. He's figuring out the interior decorating of the stash house, and I don't know, man. When all else fails, give it to Hank.
That's what she said. I can't really hate on the Hank pick ever. This was a tough one. Cards on the table. It should be the Bolivian snipers, right? Like they were definitely on point doing their job, but they're not really named characters, or anything. So I have to go with Fuchs here because he got what he wanted out of anybody. Taylor's dead, right? I mean, I'm pretty sure, anyways. Based on those bullets and the blood splatter, I am assuming everyone in the front seat is dead. Maybe people in the back seat, we don't know, but front seat, you saw the blood splatter on both sides. Pretty sure Taylor bought it there. So yeah, Fuchs got what he wanted, at least at that point. So again, tough episode to pick a winner. And honestly, it's tough to figure out what we're going to do with all this because we're no Roddy T's, but we somehow have to find a way to give a grade to listen with your ears, react with your face.
Because I'm the Fonz, huh? Hey.
In honor of Henry Winkler, Gene Cousineau himself, we grade each episode of Barry on a scale of 1 to 10 Fonzies. Hey, I am up first here, and I am going to give it probably my best grade for a Barry episode so far. I'm going to kick it up to 8.4 Fonzies. Again, I don't want to spoil anything in the future, but I think Barry is definitely on an upward trend. I think this is the best episode so far of season 1. I enjoyed it a lot. It had the best action. It was still funny. You got all the characters involved. A lot to like here, but it was a little bit janky in parts. And I think they were still cleaning up some choices they made earlier in the season. So not quite perfect. I'm going to go with 8.4 Fonzies. Jamie G, how many Fonzies you going to give this one?
Yeah, look, I thought this was another great episode. I'm gonna kind of live in a similar range as to last episode. I'm gonna give this one 9.1 A's.
9.1 A. What are you, Canadian?
A.
A.
I got my Canadian tux, dude.
Yeah, your A's and your O's. And that pretty much wraps us up and brings us to the spoiler section. If you do not want to be spoiled on anything from future episodes of Barry, any other news about the show, anything at all, please go check out now. Thank you for tuning in, checking us out. Please remember to do the like and subscribe thing. Again, at Barry Podcast on the social needs, Barry Podcast on the YouTube, on wherever you get your podcasts, all that stuff. Check back next week. We're going to cover Chapter 7, Loud, Fast, and Keep Going. For everybody else, here's our spoiler discussion. In Jamie G, I legitimately forgot about the hot tub thing was a runner when we got it in season 3. I forgot, dude. I just forgot.
Yeah, I mean, it was such a ridiculous thing, and it happens to be the episode where Taylor dies,
so and the $1,700 even, like they really
the $1,700 comes back too, because remember how absurd that was with Taylor's sister in season 3. It's like, what the fuck? They're really sweating over $1,700. So yeah, I think that both those 2 points were because it was so quick. It just happened this one episode.
Well, I guess maybe one of Taylor's appointments was with his sister. Let's go with that.
It might have been, dude, or hot tub installation. That could have been one of his appointments too.
Yeah, hot tub installation is really a lot of work, and I think the show really did a lot of work here, kind of laying the track for how Gene feels about Janice. Yeah, because obviously this is going to be a motivating factor for him going forward. I think this gives you an idea of him, like even though they've only been 3 nights or a week or their 1 week anniversary, like he is in love.
Yeah, he's all in, dude. I mean, he's waking her up with sweet, subtle, well, not so subtle blows in her face, making her a phenomenal breakfast, dude. You know how hungry I was when I saw that egg Benedict? I was like, damn, that looks good. One thing too here is we once again see this this daydream fantasy out of Barry of like his desire to be married and have a normal life with 2 kids and kind of this perfect little family. Kind of see that again, and the show also uses that kind of altered state where he's either having a daydream or, you know, a flash forward or hallucination. They do that a lot, and it works. It's not like it's overdone or anything, but it's kind of another example.
No, I didn't even remember them doing as much as they've done it here. And I mean, some of it was kind of fun and whimsical, like the whole John Hamm thing in the previous episode, in 105 or whatever. But I definitely enjoyed it. And even like the minor thing here with the kids with like the teleporting belt buckle, I did not remember that.
I did not remember that either, and I did not remember Barry's wig in that flashback either.
I mean, everyone wants the Polly Walnut's hair at some point. And I think the show also does lay some track here for the Sally we know and love, at least as far as her confidence in herself and a little bit maybe of her kind of arrogance or narcissism or whatever you want to call it. Or, you know, the fact that she's always Gene's favorite. I mean, it worked for me. I think it sets it up, but I think that the show has definitely kind of moved her character quite a bit from where it started in the pilot to, you know, here. But I think where they get here is basically about where she is for the remainder of the series thus far.
Yeah. They kind of said, okay, this is who you're going to be. Another thing too is you're really starting to see the acceleration of the Bolivians. You know, obviously this is kind of the first. You know, you're kind of getting you feel like, okay, we're going to meet the Bolivians next episode, right? And that's pretty cool because that's obviously a storyline that takes us all the way up to the last episode of season 3 of Barry.
Yeah, and again, you know, that's where you get your raw cocaine. I mean, straight from Bolivia. So it does make sense that they go there. So that way you have the cocaine for your 99-cent stores. I like you said earlier, I wish we kept Goran around, man. Like,
me too, dude.
They're so good. Like Hank is, I mean, oh man, now I'm blanking on his new number 2, who's pretty good. The real stone face, but he's like the only one left, man. They killed most of the Chechens off at the end of 3 anyways. So I am kind of missing, like, they use it at Cristobal, and Cristobal is good, but he's got a different energy than Goran had. Like, I like the idea of like somebody who's above Hank, kind of giving him like orders, and Hank trying to have to be subservient to him and anything. So we had Michael Ironside as one of the elders in season 3. I'd love someone like that to come in, at least on a couple of scenes in season 4 or whatever, and kind of like, you know, make Hank kind of have to like kiss ass again a little bit. Kiss ass Hank's always fun.
Spot on, dude. I mean, I forgot how much I liked Goran. Like, his character is awesome.
He's way funnier than I remembered him being. I always just thought he was kind of like a boss guy, like Chechen Tony Soprano. And I mean, he is a little bit Chechen Tony Soprano, right down to the wardrobe and the cigars and everything, but he plays it very, very well. Yeah, that's it feels like a little bit of a loss, whatnot. Damn, like I wish Barry could just do a hit, you know, do. I don't know if I wish, but imagine if they hit like a flash forward 10 years so they could have like Goran's kids seek revenge or something. Like his daughter that was doing the gymnastics, and he's got a son too, I think. Like that would be kind of interesting on some level.
Absolutely. And they're in Goran's garage. Like it's like
they bring him back to the old garage. Yeah, they bring him back to the old garage and everything.
Oh man. Any other spoilers before we get out of here?
I mean, not much, man. Just kind of the idea that Sally keeps shitting on Natalie a little bit is definitely, again, really leaned into here.
Well, good shit remains ahead. And man, that's a wrap on chapter 6. Listen with your ears, react with your face. And just like that, there's only 2 episodes left in season 1. Next up for us is chapter 7, Loud, Fast, and Keep Going. Anything you want to add here, Mills, before we bounce?
Just the usual stuff. Again, on the social medias at Barry Podcast, wherever you get your pods, just search for Barry Podcast. Search for Barry Podcast on YouTube or go to JoeBlowFootballShow.com. Got a lot of stuff there. We talk sports, we talk other shows, other movies, a lot of stuff going on. You should check it out. We might do a little bit of a Succession thing. We're definitely bouncing around on some other stuff. Love talking about the boys, all kinds of things. So that's great. We enjoy it. We enjoy doing it. Hopefully you watch us, enjoy it. Again, remember the like, comment, follow, subscribe thing to, you know, quantify your enjoyment. Thanks again for checking this out. I am Magnum Mills. He's Jamie G. And we are the co-presidents of the Mitch Fan Club. And we'll see you on the next episode of the Barry Podcast. Just always remember to turn off Wi-Fi before you press the detonate button.
Always.